Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily PIB analysis video. In the morning, the Hindu paper analysis videos they come. In the evening, the PIB videos come. Sundays are off for PIB, and for the rest of the 6 days, PIB lessons are available. You see, these days the update on the PIB lesson that is very less, so it's an opportune moment for us where we can revise all the current affair issues in these lessons. So 10-minute lesson is there every evening, and we are revising very important issues of the last year, so that in the prelims examination this compilation will help you immensely. So 13th of May it is, and let's start with the questions and some data. These are the numbers there you can call and you can ask for these pen drive courses, and here the website is given. Here the chat section is available, and all these courses are available at 60% off, and all are important courses created by experts. Biofuels, as we all know, biofuels are created by certain processes where bacteria are involved, and some other these yeast and all these are involved, and they do fermentation process, and here they are digesting the carbohydrates mainly. So broken rice, rotten potatoes and corns, they all are carbohydrates, so they can be used to produce these biofuels. But you see, these are not the appropriate ones, because the production varies, and it is not necessary that these can be giving the same amount of alcohol as in the process. It is not necessary. So there may be different processes. Sugars are also used, like the sugar canes and all, they are used, and these are the primary sources. Now second generation, third generation biofuels are being created by various other sources, like some algae and all, these are used. So these are also having these components of carbohydrates and all, but these are polysaccharides, and mainly the ideal ones would be those from where maximum production would come, and they can be grown anywhere, and they can be grown in very less time. So this is not possible for these staple crops and these food items which we also consume. So if we are going to use these as biofuels, then how we can fulfill our food security needs? So they can be used in biofuel production, but these are not the appropriate ones. So this question is asking about whether they can be used. Yes, they can be used, because they are also having the carbohydrate amounts. So D is the answer here. And you see, there is a different context here, that in the future we are going to be more and more dependent on these alternative sources. So biofuel may also be created with these food items and all, but the issue of food security is a huge thing, and that is why we need to find the alternative ways. Like some algae, they can be grown on water surface also, where these crops cannot be grown. So we can use water surfaces also there. So they will be growing very fast, and they can be grown anywhere, and they will be giving great yields. So that's why second generation, third generation biofuels are much more important. So D is the answer here. Next, which of the following are tipping points? Tipping points means after that situation, there would be no reverse, and there would be no stabilization. Like if the Greenland ice melts totally, or the Antarctic glaciers, they collapse totally, and the destruction of Amazon forests, that happened totally, then there would be no existence left for the humans, because these are the important lungs and the important basic sources. Like all the drinking water sources are the glaciers. If we talk about the biggest sources, then the glaciers are the biggest sources. Rivers and lakes and underground water sources, they are a minuscule amount. These are the biggest sources, and they are melting very fast because of the climate change issue and the average heat increase. So that's the issue. So D, all of the above would be the answer here. These all are the tipping points. Like melting of all the permafrost, that's the main issue. You see, the snow line is there where after a certain height, if you go towards the top of the Himalayas, then after a certain range, then there is a snow line, and above that there are permanent glaciers. So permanent glaciers are the permanent sources of these Himalayan rivers. But you see, these are also the important source of these drinking water and all, and the biggest source of the drinking water is there on the Antarctic continent. It's a continent, and this whole continent is covered with ice, and these ice shelves, they are melting, and they are getting destroyed with a very, very fast pace. So that's really a cause of concern. So these are tipping points, and these may be asked in the prelims examination. Next, Niti Aayog and United Nations. In India, signed Sustainable Development Framework, SDF, UN SDF. That's correct. But it is not for the 2025. It is for 2022. 18 to 2022. That is the year. Okay. This first option is wrong, and you see they have allocated funds for that, and Niti Aayog would be the nodal agency, you may say, or a national counterpart for the UN in India for operationalization of the UN SDF. So second option is correct, first is wrong. It's a very important goal because all these countries which are in the developing stage, like India, Brazil, South Africa, all these countries which are important part of the South-South cooperation. So it's not official grouping or something like that, but these countries are said to be South-South cooperation countries, and they all are dealing with all these kind of issues like climate change, security, food security, clean energy, disaster resilience, sustainable development, sustainable production, health, water, urbanization. All these issues are going on, and these are directly related to the sustainable development goals. So this sustainable development framework is much more important for us. And here Niti Aayog is assigning this important cooperation strategy, and that's very, very important for this year. So they may ask you about that, and 11,000 crore rupees they have allocated for that. And government, private sector, all kinds of funding sources, they would be applied here. Next, Financial Inclusion Index. This was recently released by Finance Ministry, and you see it is regarding the MSMEs funding. They are always crying for the funds, and they are the most productive areas in our economy, but they always find it difficult to arrange funds for their simple working. They are adding bigger numbers in our GDPs. They are very, very helpful for the bigger industries and all, but always finding difficulties in the budget allocation and all these things. So loan up to 10 million rupees, like 1 crore rupees, approved through a completely automated process within 59 minutes. For that, this particular FII, Financial Inclusion Index, is launched in New Delhi, and it is by Department of Financial Services under Ministry of Finance, which is going to implement that. So the last mile banking services, this phrase is important because directly they may put this in the options like that is it implementing the last mile banking services availability? Yes, this is implementing. So the three measurement dimensions would be access to financial services and users of financial services and quality. All these things are included here. AgMark, agriculture marking, it's a certification mark. So as the name suggests, it is only for the agricultural products, not for the industrial products. So this is wrong. Second, it is actually legally enforced, and there is a certain act of 1937 and which was amended in 1986. So this is again wrong. It is legally enforced in India. D9 is the answer here, and both are wrong. Certification mark employed on agricultural products in India, agricultural products, and assuring that they conform to a set of standard approved by the Directorate of Marketing, and which is working under the attached office of Department of Agriculture, and that is under Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. That's agency of Government of India. Okay, AgMark head office is there in Faridabad, Haryana, near Delhi, south to Delhi, and it's legally enforced in India by the Agricultural Produce Act of 1937. Okay, amended in 1986. And all these important agricultural items like crops, pulses, cereals, essential oils, vegetable oils, all are covered by this agricultural marking, AgMark. Next, a very important information, that Directorate of Marketing and Inspection, DMI, it is implementing now a online software for AgMark certification process. We learned about this AgMark, and there is an online software for this certification process now. So it's totally digitized and automated service now, and it was launched by our Agriculture Minister Radha Mohan Singh. It was the data of September 18, so this may be asked, and these are the areas which will be included under it. Next, MDR TB, multi-drug resistant TB. It's a bacterial disease for sure, and with no cure. No, there are cures available, like the second line, third line drugs are available now, but not much in number. Although this is a curable disease, but it's a very, very difficult case to cure, and in a sufficient time, because it takes very long time, because it's a worsened case of the normal TB. These bacteria, they have become resistant, and that's why these are called multi-drug resistant bacteria. So they are actual reason for this MDR TB, and it can be spread in the present form. Like MDR TB can be spread to some new patient in this form only, in this form of multi-drug resistant TB only. So that's why it becomes much more dangerous, and India is at the focus here because maximum number of patients are there in these countries like India, Pakistan and all, where urbanization process is very bad, and many poor people are living in unhygienic condition and in the dens of poverty. So India showed a personal commitment to tackling TB heads on, as India plans to eliminate TB by 2025. That's a correct goal, but it is 5 years earlier than the SDG target of 2030. SDGs are ending in 2030 and TB is a very important goal there. So this option is wrong, and this is again wrong because we are setting a target of 2025 here. Although it's a very ambitious goal and almost impossible to eliminate TB totally by 2025, but we are making our efforts, and none is the answer here. There was a 73rd session of UNGA at New York. So that was attended by JP Nadda, the Health Minister of India. So it was a high-level meeting on tuberculosis in that meeting. So that was very important, and we talked about our goals and the SDGs there. AH-64E Apache. This is a helicopter, and America's Boeing company and Mac Hughes, all these companies, they are involved in the manufacturing of it, and in 1980s they launched it first, and in 2015 Indian Air Force had signed a contract with US government and MS Boeing Limited, okay, and for 22 Apache helicopters, and the first delivery of the first Apache helicopter, that was possible on 10th of May 19 in America. This formal event was organized, and the first Apache was handed over to Indian Air Force. So they may ask you about this question. AH-64E, American company Boeing is making it. It is not Russian or Israel. It is American helicopter. And you see Chinook also we took from America, and this AH-64E, that's important. And you see America has been using it in the Iraq wars, in the Gaza Strip and all, and Israel is also using it. So that's a very famous one. Next, which are correct? Mangala Jodi Ecotourism Trust is community owned and managed venture on banks of not Pulicat Lake. It is Chilika Lake in Odisha. Okay, Pulicat Lake is in Andhra Pradesh, that's correct. But this Mangala Jodi Ecotourism Trust is working near Chilika Lake of Odisha, and it has won the prestigious UNWTO award for innovation in tourism enterprise. That is perfectly correct. Second is correct, first is wrong. So only 2 is the correct answer here. And you see banks of Chilika Lake in Odisha, these villagers of Mangala Jodi were once associated with the poaching of birds near Chilika Lake, but now they have become defenders, and the numbers that reached up to 2,000 only, now it has increased up to 3 lakh in recent years. So this is the biggest change they are making, and that's why they are getting this UNWTO award. So it's also a great achievement for the tourism, and it is also a great achievement for the wildlife production also, okay, biodiversity production also. And these areas, these wetlands are extremely important, and you see, and people can play a very positive role, and mainly in the birds issue. You see, these are very important ones, like Amur falcons. They were famous in the state of Nagaland, where where those were poached heavily, and now people have become defenders there. So these are important informations, and thanks a lot. The PDF you will get here. Thanks a lot.